I'm not very much of a confident character, and I certainly wasn't then, my teens. So I really had to push myself.
Gillian Robson is an award-winning entrepreneur, beauty industry innovator, Dragon's Den success and Freeman of York. With more than 30 years in the beauty sector, she has built a career defined by creativity, resilience, and a passion for developing products with purpose.
You have to have the downsides, I believe, that will give you that drive and that kick.
After travelling across Europe during her modelling career, she launched her first beauty business in 1988. In 2017, following her own skin cancer diagnosis, she co-founded Tan Cream, the world's first premium formulation to combine SPF 50, 5-star UVA protection, instant bronzer, gradual self-tan and hydrating moisturiser in one product. Beyond Beauty, she is co-founder of the extremely successful SGR Construction Group Limited with her husband. Alongside her business ventures, she is a passionate supporter of charities and an active mentor to aspiring entrepreneurs. Did you move from doing that into formulating this groundbreaking formula that you now have? I'm not going to tell anybody what it is because I want you to do that. Time to Speak is a space to pause, think and talk about the power of voice and the art of human connection. Through open conversation with leaders and changemakers, we explore how voice, presence and authentic connection shapes who we are, how we lead and the impact we make in our work and lives. Welcome to Time to Speak. Gillian Robson, welcome to Time to Speak. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well indeed. So it's a little bit drizzly out there, a little bit cold.
Oh,
But
it's
you've brightened my day.
Yeah, it's just awful. Typical Yorkshire weather. Not that we should say that really, because actually in Yorkshire it should always sunshine. We tell everybody, don't we?
Yeah, but where would we be without mud, to be quite honest?
That's it. That's very, very true.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining me today. You have a wealth of wisdom, so many amazing stories to share, and a life that has been extremely full, for all the right reasons and sometimes sadly for some of the wrong reasons. And that's why I really wanted to speak with you on Time to Speak. I really value your perspective on things and really respect who you are as a businesswoman. And I think all the listeners are going to feel the same way. So where to start with you, Gillian? Where to start? If we go back, I'm thinking about this long career in the beauty industry that you've had. And I know that you were a model and that you travelled quite a lot in your modelling career. Shall we start there? Because then it moves on, doesn't it, to having your own beauty business, and then the rest is history, but we'll get to that bit. So is it okay if we start with the modelling?
Of course it is. Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. So yeah, no, I did a stint of modelling, which I have to say was kind of, it was very short because I didn't really enjoy the industry. I found it a bit bitchy, being honest with you. It's a very difficult world out there. I enjoyed what I did, and it's nice, I guess, to sort of say I did it, but it definitely wasn't for me. But I love beauty and I love fashion. And so I went and did a career in hairdressing, beauty. I did a lot of that. I entered competitions. I did pretty well in the competitions, went all over the world entering competitions, and then did the beauty side of things. And I absolutely loved all that. Loved the fact of just meeting people, finding out just, obviously I was meeting other hairdressers, I was meeting their models, and, male and female, all fascinating stories. I just loved that engagement with people and just being out there, really, because being from the countryside, you could become a little bit of a hermit sometimes. Yeah. So it's really, I kind of I'm not very much of a confident character, and I certainly wasn't then, my teens. So I really had to push myself. And luckily I was working for a couple of guys who were like dads to me, really. And they really supported me and gave me quite a boost. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So you say you won some awards. Is that did you have a salon? Did you have like a beauty salon or?
I did. I had a hair and beauty salon. Yeah. So the awards that I won were, I won National Young Hairstylist of Great Britain. I won the British, Welsh, Scottish, Irish championships at both junior and senior level. I was National Young Hairstylist of Great Britain. And then I was also modelling for the guys who I used to work for. And so we went, and we won the Gold Cup, we won the World Championships. So it was a fascinating industry, fascinating, very tiring, but loved that rather than the fashion modelling. It was modelling and walking down a catwalk and having to be stick thin was not healthy. Whereas this was great. It was more you had some amazing, really flamboyant outfits that you could wear. And so that was good. Loved it.
Yeah. And there's a little bit more control when you're on the other side of it. So speaking from my experience as an actor, sometimes you feel like you haven't really got any control. It's just you're the person who's got to go where everyone says you've got to go and wear what people tell you to wear and look how people want you to look and just get on with it. But if you're on the other side and you're doing the face and you're doing the hair and you've got insight into, the look and feel of an event and how everybody looks and feels within that event, it's a wonderful position to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. And you're absolutely right. I think knowing both sides of it was really important. And it helped me kind of understand both sectors of it. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So when did you, maybe when isn't the right word, I think how is probably the better word. How did you move from working in that beauty industry and doing incredibly well? I mean, those the catalogue of awards, it's so impressive. How did you move from doing that into formulating this groundbreaking formula that you now have? I'm not going to tell anybody what it is because I want you to do that. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I left the guys I used to work for and I opened my own business. And I had my own business for about 24 years. I was in a film, and I was also I was the president of the Yorkshire area National Hairdressers Federation. So I kind of did all that, ticked all the boxes, and but then unfortunately I had to sell my business because I was diagnosed with skin cancer, and it was an aggressive malignant melanoma that I found on the back of my leg, and I think it kind of stemmed from many years of sunbeds, sitting in the sun. And you're talking 40 years ago, and where we weren't aware of the dangers of the sunbed. Everybody used to say go on a sunbed and prepare yourself for going on holiday. And I think because I was modeling and in that beauty industry, you just felt better with a little bit of color. And so I went down that road, unfortunately. But I was diagnosed with an aggressive malignant melanoma, and it was on the back of my leg, which was, I was very lucky to find. But I did become aware of the years of what to look for, because obviously it became more apparent, the dangers of the sun and sunbeds. So when I found this one on the back of my leg, I was so lucky because I had an amazing GP, and she fast-tracked me to the NHS system. And I was seen with, and it was removed within 2 weeks. I had to have another operation because it had spread into my leg, and it was basically, it's like the consultant said, if I'd left it any longer, it was so aggressive that I wouldn't be sat talking to you today. It would have been pretty quick, I think. So I was so lucky. So that was definitely a a life-changing moment for me.
I just want to pause you there because, I mean, some people won't know what to look out for. So if someone was listening to this and they think, oh, I've got that funny mark and it seems to be growing or whatever, I mean, what should people look out for?
Any changes on the skin, irregular, if you have a mole and it changes, becomes itchy, bleeds, it doesn't necessarily have to be a mole. It could be just like a sort of like a scab that suddenly doesn't disappear on your face or on your body. Just anything that looks unusual. I always say to people, look for an alien on your body, something that just doesn't look right, and just go to your doctor and just get it checked out, and if there's a system now within the NHS, which is the fast track, which for anything that's a major like diagnosis, from your GP, they will fast track you, and you will be seen within 2 weeks. And it's an amazing system. We are so lucky to have that within the NHS. So yeah, I would massively recommend any issues, go to your GP and get fast tracked, because early diagnosis with any cancers is so important.
Yeah. Okay. And the sunbed thing, I mean, me too.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we just didn't, when we were young, we didn't have a clue. People talked about it, didn't they? But it was almost like, yeah, but it's no one gets skin cancer from it. Everyone talks about it, but no one's had it. And you just went and did it anyway, which is, no.
And I think that's it. And I think that now is that we know so much more, and they have got, evidence that it does happen.
So it's surprising to me that some beds still exist.
I know. Well, there's definitely, there's a petition out there to try and get them banned. In fact, it's bizarre. This morning, I just had a call with my marketing team, and when I'd gone into their offices to have a photo shoot with them a few months ago, one of the guys that was doing the photos, I was chatting to him, and I was saying, telling they were asking me why I came along with my formula and everything, and the young guy who was doing my photographs actually goes on sunbeds. And I was like, no, please don't go on a sunbed. This is what happened to me. Da, 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 da. I was talking to to his team this morning on a call, and he now doesn't go on them because of what I said to him. And I went into everything, I went into what I'd had done. I've had 16 lesions removed now, so all over my body.
So talk about that then. That's 16 lesions. So over what period of time?
So I was diagnosed in 2014. That was my main aggressive malignant melanoma when I had the treatment for it. And then basically I'm now, I have my undermatoscope because I'm so, I'm paranoid now. I'm not so much now, but I think in the early days I really was. Now I'm very aware and check my skin all the time, anything different. And because of my history, they just take it off. So, but I also do, I look at people as well. So when I'm talking to people, especially in the summer when they've not got a little bit less on, and I'm looking, I'm like, ooh. So if you think that whenever you see me and I'm looking at you a bit strange, it's because I'm analysing your skin.
Yeah. So it that was the first one was 2014. Did you say?
It was, yeah.
And the last removal was when?
2023. So about 2 years ago.
Yeah. So it was going on for quite a while. And I guess, like you say, even if it wasn't cancer, you would have it removed anyway, just because of the history.
Yeah, and it was often precancerous, so it could have been a BCC or a CCC, so they're basal cell carcinomas, and so they could become cancerous if they're left. So you're just better off than on.
Yeah. But this experience has led you to push through with something which was not easy, I mean, what you've created and what you've discovered, and the amount of work and energy that you've had to put into finding a formula to help people protect themselves against skin cancer is incredible. So tell me about your formula.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I obviously, again, going back to, my early days, I always like to have a tan. And then obviously when I was diagnosed with skin cancer, I need to wear SPF 50 every day. All the SPF 50s I felt were very thick, white and gloopy. And so when you put them on, you looked pale. And there was nothing really that I found that sort of ticked that box. And then the tanning, the fake tans are amazing, but a lot of them leave you a little bit tangled. So I was trying to find something that was a little bit natural, but then I was also, trying to see if I could find something that had SPF 50, but also a natural gradual self-tan in one bottle. There was nothing anywhere in the world. And even in Australia, I have a friend who lives over there. I had her looking for me, just for me to use rather than developing it myself. I was just thinking, I just need something that will, because it's time consuming. Anybody who uses fake tan knows that there's a process for it. So, I just wanted something that you could use every day, that you could use as a moisturizer, but would also give you SPF 50 protection, the 5-star UVA rating, which is really important as well, but also give you a glow that would look healthy, but you'd be staying healthy as well. So, the SPF would, maintain that healthiness of your skin. And at the same time, the sun is an aging factor of our skin. So if you protect it every day, it's the best anti-aging product.
Yeah. So what did you do then?
Well, because I couldn't find one, I was just thinking, well, why isn't there one on the market? Then I was thinking scientifically, maybe it couldn't be done because of, maybe the pH balance, whatever. And anyway, I just looked. Anyway, I mentioned it to a friend who is she was, so this is Katie, my business partner. So she is into bringing new products to market within the health, health sector. So I had a word with her, and I was telling her about it over a glass of wine one night. And I just said to her, why don't we have a go? I said, with your expertise and, my idea and my story, maybe we could do something here together. So we did. And we went to an event, and well, to cut a long story short, we met Dr. Jack Ferguson, who helped us behind the formula. And when we met him, obviously we didn't say much to him at that time, but we went to his offices. We got him to sign an NDA. And I remember saying to Katie as we went in, if we're in there any longer than 10 minutes, I think we're on a winner. If not, we'll just shelf it and forget about it. We were in there 2.5 hours, and he absolutely loved the whole concept. He just thought it was brilliant. And he said, obviously the reason why it probably hadn't been done before was because of the pH balance within the formulas when you're mixing, etc., etc. So we decided that we'd have a go, and it was blood, sweat and tears. My gosh, a lot of hard work, which is fine. I'm not shy of hard work, and I think through hard work becomes success. And so we worked very hard with them, and we worked on the formula. Obviously, we then had lots of testing, lots of trials. So I had to keep sending it away to get tested. And I was really meticulous about what I wanted with the formula, the consistency. I wanted it so that it didn't smell. It was really light and easy to apply every day. Had to be SPF 50. Had to have the 5-star UVA. I wanted it to be science-driven, dermatology-driven, everything. So it was a lot to ask, really. But 3.5 years later, we did it, and we launched it, and we've patented the formula, and yeah, that was it.
That's incredible. Really incredible. So It took you to Dragon's Den?
It did. Daunting.
Tell me about that experience.
Well, anybody who watches Dragon's Den and they see how daunting it is on TV, you only see like a minute or two of like torture. And we were in the den for about 2.5 hours being grilled. And then they narrow that down to the few minutes that they show on TV. It was, I would do it again, really, really do it again. But there's a lot of due diligence. They're looking to everything, about you, about, your life journey, your history, who you are, etc. And then they want to know everything. So the files that we had to send them before the show was it was so intense. And then you have to go and do an audition. I mean, you'll know all about auditions and things. And, you have to take 1, take 2, take 3 and da-da-da-da-da. And anyway, we did it in the first take, actually. And because they wanted to see whether we were okay on camera. So, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I kind of find that a little bit incredible because it's, for the show, it's more than the fact that you've got an amazing product, which would be amazing to fund and finance and get out to the world. More than that, they want to know if you're good on camera. So if you're not good on camera, what happens to the product?
Shelf it. You're out the door.
Oh, that's so true of the industry. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
obviously you managed to come across really well on camera.
Yeah, we went on. So then obviously we did that. We weren't allowed to tell anybody either, which was really hard because inside we were really excited, even though we were nervous. But the whole thing, I mean, obviously our family knew, but we couldn't say anything wider than that. And then obviously we went on the show, and we got we had 3 offers. And Peter Jones, Tuka Sullivan and Sarah Davies. And we ended up going with Sarah Davies because it was her first ever investment. And also she was from the north. So we thought, it'd be easy, commuting, blah, blah, blah. And so we went with her and Tuka. Now, I have to say, Peter Jones was devastated, which really made me feel so good because I just thought, this is a guy who I've absolutely been in awe of ever since Dragon's Den started. And I've actually turned him down and he's upset. So I was like, well, if I don't take anything else but this away with me, that's brilliant.
Yeah. I should probably just say I can hear some banging going on in the background, and that's you're having a little bit of work done at home, haven't you?
Yeah, we are. I'm sorry.
So if you're listening out there, Gillian's just having a little bit of an upgrade in the house, so you might hear the odd bang, but let's just forget about that because what Gillian has to say is proving to be extremely entertaining just on its own. So after Dragon's Den, and you go with Sarah, and who was the other person?
Tuka.
Then what?
Then, well, actually, Tuka became really poorly during the show, and he actually pulled out of the show because of his health and was in hospital for a while. So all the deals that he did within the den, he just backed out of because he couldn't, health-wise, he couldn't follow it through, whatever. So it was just Sarah. But then Sarah has an investor in her business who was part of the whole demographic, I'm guessing, of her being on the show. So, it was a guy called Richard Harpin, who is home serve, and we ended up having to go and have a Dragon's Den moment with him and his sidekick. And that was just it was so hard. And actually, it was the day I'd just lost my little dog. So my little dog had just died in my arms, and I had to go and have this intense interview with this mega amazing guy. And all I could think, I cried all the way there. I looked a wreck when I got there. And how on earth I got through it, but I did. And then I cried all the way home. And came home and buried my dog. But the guy loved us and probably liked I don't know, I never told him at all. I didn't, because obviously you keep your personal life, you try and keep it away from business as much as possible. But and he loved it, so he really wanted to be part of our journey, which was again another, we felt really credible for that. But then after that, COVID hit. So with COVID, and after the show, once the airing of Dragon's Den went on TV, we got loads of traction, we got loads of orders, which you're aware of because they do warn you of that. And then just after that, we had a professor from Newcastle University that approached us, who knew Dr. Jack and Joe, who were behind our formula, who we'd worked with. And he knew them, and he knew that the credibility of the formula. And he contacted us and said, I really want to work on your formula. I really want to get more data for you. I think that, your formula will, I've got a sample here and you're not shouting about it enough. We can get you a lot more evidence for this. So we'd love to work with you. So we decided, and because COVID hit around the same time, we decided that actually, let's just go with this, because we'd need a lot of money. We were already, really, we'd use credit cards and as what else, taking loans to pay for the testing and to pay for where we were. And we'd really put ourselves on the breadline. And so to go down this route, we felt was probably better, because we were going to be, we had launched the brand, obviously, but this way the formula would be a little bit more, it would just be more credible. So that's what we did. And we worked with Newcastle University for 3 years. And so now we're wanting to sell the formula.
Wow. Amazing. How wonderful to have gone through such a rigorous process and be holding on to this. I want to call it a secret formula, but it's not really a secret, but nobody knows what's in it. There's not another one like it, and there's not another one that can do what it does. And it just feels to me amazing, fascinating. I've just got so much respect for you for pushing through continuously. Like, as you see a problem, you find a way to work around it and keep going forward. I mean, out of what you've just said there are so many lessons for people starting a business or following a dream or having a passion to fulfill a certain purpose. And I'm just thinking about what you said there. We borrowed money, we'd use credit cards. I mean, at the point that you were doing that, did you have full confidence in yourself and the formula? So you knew it was almost like a momentary risk. You knew that in the end it would pay off, or were you actually really unsure, but you were just going with it anyway? I mean, what was the psychology around it at the time?
I think we believed in our formulators, which was massive. But as far as myself, I was really not confident, as in a person in general. And so I was kind of really doubting myself whether I could actually go out there into the commercial world when I had my own business in my own local area, and there would be little old me that would be just coming out with this formula. So it was very, very hard, financially, personally, the whole emotions that go behind it. And you have to have a sense of drive to think that actually, do you know what, I'm going to do this. I've got a really good story, which, by the way, I didn't realize that my story would be so powerful as what it actually is, because I was just thinking, I've got skin cancer and I want a product that I can use myself, but I really want to educate people into, wearing an SPF every day. And the added bonus of this is that you will actually get a tan but without the damage to your skin.
Yeah.
It was like I guess now when I look back, it is a bit of a pinch me moment that I'm kind of sat here 12 years later, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And doing great. It's fantastic. I think when you do start out with a new product or start out with a new business, you're always afraid, aren't you? I know it was a risk.
Yeah.
Thinking about, you will have had the same thing. You're thinking about your family, how you provide for your family, how you keep a roof over your head, whether you're being irresponsible by investing or borrowing money even to invest in this thing that you want to start. You talked about drive. You've got to have a drive, but also a voice within you, which is telling you to keep pushing forward and that you're going to make it. It's really difficult to always listen to that voice, isn't it? Or even find it
It is. No, you're absolutely right. And it is really, and you have those days where you really doubt yourself, and you do have those. And one of the tough things was that, so with my husband and I, all the way through we've been married 35 years, but in all that time, is that we've always, when one of our businesses was really good and the other usually wasn't, so we've propped each other up all the way through our married life. And then when it came to my formula, and my husband was fully supportive of it. And then my husband had an accident at work and he couldn't work for a couple of years. So we had a building business, so we lost that. We had to, it was dire. We put our house on the market. We ended up moving out of our house into a tiny little cottage, because these people were thinking they wanted to buy it. They were from South Africa, but they wanted to try and live in the area first. So we rented it to them, and they paid us up front for 6 months, and we rented this other house. And actually, that was probably the turning point, because when we lived at this cottage, I remember I was taking my son to school and I didn't have enough money to put fuel in the car. And it was really embarrassing, because I was like skimping and scraping, trying to find like odd coppers around, and it was awful. And, my husband wasn't able to work. We were just, we were selling everything, and just to survive, just to really survive. And then I was also doing my hairdressing on the side, trying to bring some money in. I was working in coffee shops. I was doing everything I could just to survive, and to keep us going as a family, and to keep that stability as a family. Then the people who had rented our house for 6 months moved out after 3 months and went back to South Africa. So actually, that 3 months grace gave us a really good kickstart. And actually, that was when I thought, somebody is looking down on us here. And then my husband ended up going down a different route with the building trade, and he ended up going into the commercial world as well, which was, again, like we were both we'd gone from working in our local area to both stepping out there into the commercial world of our industries, which was huge. Very different.
Yeah. I think it's really important that people hear this kind of story from someone like you, Gillian, because you're beautiful. You might not feel confident all of the time, but you appear confident, you appear successful, and you've achieved a lot. And it's very easy for people to look at someone like you and say, well, it's all right for her because she's got money, she can do X, Y, and Z. And they don't know the struggle that you've gone through in order to get to where you are now. And it's so important for people to hear it, because there is a journey to go on. It doesn't happen overnight, does it? There's so much going on behind the scenes, and there are so many years of hard work and learning how to be human, learning how to rise in adversity, learning how to pick yourself up and keep moving forward anyway. There's all of that, which is almost like the groundwork for the success. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and definitely. And I think there's a lot to be said that actually if you're going to set up a business and you actually have a load of money in your bank, I don't know whether you put your heart and soul into it the same. I think because I really believed in this product and in this formula and in the people behind it and in everything, is that it really made me determined to get funding, to keep, head above water, and to just, when I really look back and think of, but it is made us who we are today. And, with, through success is, you have to have the downsides, I believe, that will give you that drive and that kick. And we often, my husband and I often sit on a night and, especially if we're away or whatever, and we just think where we've come from and what we've both come from working class families, and, with nothing. And it makes you more determined, to be somebody and put you kind of almost have your own identity, to be honest, and fight more. I think, I find that with a lot of people that I meet in my life, that often the most successful ones have often come from nothing, or they've known hardship.
Yeah, maybe that's why we get on so well.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah, we're actually doing very well to do these podcasts without diversifying into different avenues.
Yes. I do. I honestly think if you've got a passion and you're working hard at it, you're never going to look back and regret. I certainly don't, and I never will regret any decision that I've made with my business up to this point. It's just,
and you can't live with regrets, can you?
Yeah.
What's happened has happened, and today is today, and you can make a difference for the future. And we all learn by the mistakes and the highs and lows, of the past. So we do, don't we?
Yeah. You mentioned a story within a story, actually. Well done. A story within a story, Gillian. I don't think you were doing it.
Sorry, didn't.
But you mentioned how when you were going through the investment phase in the Dragon's Den era, that you had to go and see Richard Harpin, and your dog had just died in your arms, and you don't know how you did it, but you pulled yourself together and you were absolutely fine in that moment. And then afterwards, again, you were deeply upset, and obviously you were grieving. And obviously this is something that I teach and talk about quite a lot, that when it really matters, regardless of what's going on in our life, we've got to turn up and present the best version of ourselves so that we can be instrumental in achieving the outcomes that we want. And there are levels to how we show up. So if it's just a conversation, we might just want to bring a happier self to the conversation, or we might actually decide, no, this conversation actually deserves all of the tears and all of the grief that I'm feeling right now. But then in another situation on the same day, when you mean business and it's a difference between success and failure, you also need to show up as a professional and put on your best mask and speak with eloquence. Can you tell me a little bit about how that was for you on that day?
Yeah, it was hard, but I'm quite underneath. I think I'm pretty good at hiding things. I put a barrier up, and I can really, I just looked a wreck. But underneath, you just have to switch. I don't know what it was, and I really, I don't know how I did it, to be honest. But there's the last couple of years of my life, just recently, we've had so many, bad things have happened to us personally with losing people, that, you just build resilience, and, you have to, people in business don't necessarily want to know your personal life and your journey. They want to see you as like a confident, kind of character that's there, and you switched on, and you can, be this, that, and the other. But yeah, so I think it was definitely, that was probably, to be honest, it's maybe a time when I thought, actually, I'm stronger than I think. Yeah, having to go and face this guy, and he's a great guy, and anybody who knows him is an amazing businessman. Yeah, what I forgot to say actually earlier on was that to actually get us, so obviously all the credit cards and everything to get the business to where we were and to go on Dragon's Den, obviously we put the formula into production, and we needed investment with that. So we were looking for investors. Now that is hard. This was before we even had a talk on Dragon's Den. That was so hard, because trying to get people to believe in us as people that didn't know us, and that was a struggle, because there's people out there that have money that want to invest in businesses, but you have to really be in skincare. There's not many out there that really kind of know much about the in-depths of skincare. But what was bizarre with that was the guy who invested in us at the first stage. I was tearing my hair out because I'd gone around so many people who I knew, whatever, and asking, and we were applying for loans, we were applying for grants and whatever. And then one night I had picked my husband up from a rugby luncheon, and when I got there, he said, "Oh, I've got Dave, he wants to, can we give him a lift home?" So I was like, yeah, no worries. I hadn't seen Dave for a long time. And he was a friend, so gave him a lift. And and thankfully he'd had a few glasses of wine. So as I was in the car with him, and he was sat in the passenger seat, and Sean was in the back. And as I was driving along, and I was saying, "Oh, so what do you do now?" And he said, I invest in businesses. I thought, I've got my investor. He's locked in my car. I'm not going to let him out. And so I did my pitch while driving the car, not having to look at him, which was quite good, because you can see the nerves and whatever. So I just gave this pitch, and I was thinking to myself, well, he's had a few glasses of wine, Anyway, I met him the next day for a coffee, because he said, "Oh, let's catch up. Let's, follow this up." I'm thinking he's probably forgotten half of the things that I've just told him. Anyway, the next day I met him for a coffee, and he invested. So it was like the strangest moment of finding your investor. And he has been amazing. He has been, not hands-on at all. He just invested the money to get us to where we are now, and hopefully he'll get some return on his investment when we sell the formula.
Oh, it's just fantastic, isn't it? But Gillian, you've really got to have balls to do that.
Yeah, you do.
You know. So good for you. That's brilliant. You. It's absolutely brilliant. So you've mentioned your husband, Sean.
I have.
And you also own the construction company together. So you're not just in beauty, you're in construction as well, Gillian. So you've got SGR. And I'm in awe of your relationship, because I've seen you guys together and you get on so well. Well, from what I've seen anyway. And I would love to know what the secret is. How do you have a business and a successful relationship running together at the same time?
Well, that's testing. And we do, and we do have a really good relationship. But when I was my early days of my formula, and when obviously he'd had the accident and then he got into the commercial world, we were both in a commercial world that we wanted to try to be successful, but we weren't working together then. We'd been working together in our own construction company, and I was in my beauty company. We've always kind of had a tight knit. This time, it was commercial and, travel, hardly. And we've always been a couple who enjoy each other's company and will sit and will chew the fat on everything. Don't get me wrong, we argue. In fact, we just had a little tiff today. but it's quite funny because then we just laugh about it. I think after when you've been together 35 years, well, married 35 years, together 39, you just laugh. You just kind of know each other and you just think, actually, I know you're stressed because you've got to travel. But yeah, it was different. And because we were going in these different directions, it was becoming quite a strain between us. But then, good or bad, COVID hit and we were at home together. And obviously our son, Audrie, was with us. And he was playing professional rugby at the time. So he was home, and because obviously there was no games. So we really had a wonderful time, and we reconnected as a family and realised that actually, and especially Sean and I, is that, we need each other. We really do need each other, and we're stronger than we ever, I guess, really together. So, so it's actually, good, highs and lows. But yeah, COVID was definitely a time that it was very hard. Obviously, for the world, it was a horrendous time. But for us as a family, it definitely made us, reconnect and realise that actually we had to change what we were doing, because otherwise we'd just be growing apart, and then you lose direction with each other because you forget about each other, and not forget, but it's not the forefront. And we had to make each other realise that actually we are the most important thing, and actually if we're strong together, then it makes our business life a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that obviously the bond in a relationship is so important, but in terms of building meaningful relationships, you do need that constant in-person connection. When I say constant, I think I mean more regular. So something which nurtures a relationship. Well, for me, I feel that's really important. I think if all I had in my friendship with anyone was a WhatsApp note every few weeks or every month, I wouldn't feel connected to that person. And we're in a world now, aren't we, where it's the email, it's a WhatsApp note, it's a message, it's even leaving a message on an answer phone and doing it, not expecting a conversation, but just to leave a note. It's not the same as people coming together and feeding an energy from one another. It's a very different experience. So when we met, I was speaking, wasn't I? In fact, it would be just almost a year in January.
It would be, yeah.
Yeah. It feels like longer.
Yeah, it does. I feel like I've known
each
for
other
for ages.
Yeah, but it's just January when I was speaking at that event, and I remember when you said to me, "Oh, right, so can I come and see you then?" And I was thinking, what for a session or for a coffee? And you were like, "No, I want to do some speaking sessions." And I was like, "Oh, right, great, that's fantastic." And you came along to my studio, and do you remember, for you, like the main reason why you wanted to engage in speaking sessions and why you wanted to learn to be a better speaker at the time?
Yeah, you were somebody I'd been looking for a long time, and I just hadn't come across anybody that I had that connection with. And hearing you speak, I was thinking, oh, I just need this lady in my life. I just need her in my life. And and it was just because everything that you delivered and how you delivered it was just what I needed. I felt that I'd got to a stage in my career where I was going to be in front of a lot of high profile people. And, I was starting to be asked to speak at different business events. I was asked to do podcasts and I just needed direction. And I think because of obviously everything that we've talked about today, there was so much going on in my head. And I remember you saying that to me when I first ever met you was, oh my gosh, you got so much going on. And I just needed somebody to just get hold of me and say, right, this is the direction you need to go down. This is how you need to deliver it. And focus on X, Y, and Z instead of A to Z.
The full A to Z.
Yeah, completely. So you've definitely were sent, like you're like sent from heaven.
Oh, it's like you've just like majorly vouched for me there. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, Gillian.
But it's true. I wouldn't, that's one thing I'm a true Yorkshire girl. I'm very honest.
Yes. Well, so am I. That's why my business is called Honestly Speaking. I mean,
there you go.
I can't lie. What can you say? I do remember, yes, what we wanted to do with you was bring all of the different aspects that you wanted to talk about into a very clear and focused message, because we wanted you to stand there and for your audience to take a message away with them that they could do something with. And at the time when you first mentioned it, it was very difficult for you to put all of that together in a narrative which made it made sense, but it was an awful lot of information with many different directions, and we wanted to bring it down to a single focus so that your audience would say, right, now I know what to do with that. Now I know where to take it, what to do with it, or even what to think next. You're going to do an awful lot more speaking. I'm absolutely sure about that. If you were to, in an ideal world, if you were to choose an ideal stage to talk on, to deliver your message, where would it be?
Oh, where would it be? Do you know, I think I would love to talk at the Sun Protection Conference in London. And that is because I've been there a couple of times, and they have incredible people from all over the world, like that are speaking, and it's very. They have people who are talking about their story, their journey, often with skin cancer. Then you go on to these scientists who are doing so much research into sun protection. All these, like the coral reef, and the conversations are unbelievable. And I'd just love to speak there about my journey and actually, the education around why I think it's important. And I think it would be, and the journey that I've been obviously to develop a formula that is life changing. I think that would be my creme de la creme.
Right. We have to get your keynote ready for the Sun Protection Conference. And when is it, Gillian?
It's 2027.
Okay, so I do tell people to take their time and prepare well in advance. So we've got loads of time.
We have, yeah.
Got loads of time. Yeah, that sounds like a good one. Keep that in your mind, and we'll keep working towards that.
And it'd be lovely if I've actually sold the formula by then. I mean, what a great ending! The whole journey, and that we've actually sold the formula to a bigger brand. And that it's a global success. That'd be a very good ending, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. But you know what? I was thinking, as you were speaking, well, what's next? So it wouldn't be an end, would it, for you? I can't see it being an end.
No, I would.
What else would you do?
I definitely would like to stick into, the education around wearing sun protection, because I think that is so important. But I'm a massive, I support so many charities, I love charities, hospices. I've got a St Leonard's Hospice in York that I have supported for 32 years. And then I support, kind of just cancer units, skin cancer, obviously, the Skin, which is a skin cancer charity, Melanoma Me. So there's a lot of charities out there, and I'd just, I'd love to give them a bit more support and, help them, because I think, what better way than to kind of have like a bit of a retirement and support charities and give education out there.
And that would be an incredible way to use your voice.
Yeah.
To be an ambassador for those charities.
So that would be a different way that you need to help me there, Audrey.
Yeah. Well, of course I'll be there to help you. But I do speak an awful lot about how our voice is more than just words. It's everything that we do. It's in our behavior, it's in our connections, it's in our intentions, it's in how we affect the world around us. And I think, honestly, Gillian, your voice right now is more powerful than you think it is. And I think it's going to be even more powerful in the future. And I feel really privileged to know you.
Oh, well, ditto, vice versa. I mean, I honestly, since meeting you, you have changed my life, in the speaking world more than, as well as a friend. You're an amazing lady.
Thank you very much. That's so kind. I think we better say goodbye before everyone else starts saying this is too cheesy and we've shared love going on.
Too sloppy.
Yeah, sorry everyone for us getting too sloppy, but it's good to share the love.
Yeah.
Gillian Robson, thank you for taking the time to speak with me. Well, what a wonderful conversation there with Gillian Robson. She is warmth, resilience, experience, knowledge, everything all rolled up into one beautiful package. And I'm really proud to call her my friend, even if it has been less than a year. And I actually think that the reason why we are as close as we are is because we do interact in person as much as we can. And Gillian is so open and demonstrates her warmth and generosity of care every time I meet her. To me, that's true human connection. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation, and I look forward to having you listen to the next Time to Speak episode. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Time to Speak. If you'd like to listen to more, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and the podcast page on my website, audreywoodhouse.com. This podcast is brought to you by Audrey Woodhouse Honestly Speaking Limited, and it is an Actors Actuality production. See you soon.